as leukemia.
Think about this question in your mind. Do you think life sucks right now? Think about that for a while, and I'll ask you that again at the end. It's 5:30 p.m. My dad is rushing me to the hospital after an intense conversation with my mom telling him to rush me there. I'm confused, lost, and basically a wreck covered in tears, sitting in the back of my dad's car. My sister, she's sitting in the front of the car, telling me that everything is going to be okay. But really, am I going to be okay? Arriving at the hospital, seeing my mother agitated, waiting to bring me into the ER, waiting for 4.5 hours. The doctor's waiting. The doctor walks in, contemplating which way he should give me the news. 3 words that changed my family's lives forever. 3 words that made me see my dad cry for the first time. 3 words that made my sister stand up and leave the room. 3 words that made my mom drop to the floor. 3 words that you have cancer. A healthy, normal teenager being diagnosed with a life-threatening disease, leukemia, also known as blood cancer, just doesn't seem normal to me. Next thing I know, I'm being told that I would have to stay in this hospital bed until my immune system gets stronger. Not wanting to leave this room, to go into the room I'll be staying in for the next 38 days of my life. Knowing that every day will be different from now on. Always hearing the C word. Not being able to get my favorite, a double-double from In-N-Out. I can't even get a shot. How can they expect me to go through all this treatment? Not to mention swallowing pills. Oh, don't even get me started on that. I literally can't even swallow pills to this day, even if I was offered $1 million, which my mom offered to give me. Now, going back to my story. After the craziest night of my life, I awakened the next day, puzzled, figuring out a way to tell my friends and family. As the news quickly spread to my friends and family, I watched them slowly walk in, one by one, seeing them cry as if they already lost me. Listening to everyone, trying to persuade me that everything will be okay while I nod my head and listen, was one of the hardest things I had to do throughout my experience. Honestly, this was one of the most random and bizarre things to happen to me out of nowhere, and in the first few weeks, instead of feeling sorry for myself, I was actually more confused and angry at the fact that something this terrible happened to someone who was good to others. Day by day goes by, every minute slowly passing by, as if it has been a year. Losing the person I used to know, the friendly, energetic, and lively individual who I no longer remain to be. Listening to everyone telling me to stay positive, though it was the hardest because all of these deadly medications going through my bloodstream. Being in this negative state of mind, I would always look at the nurses asking why they were putting these toxins into my body, when really they were just trying to save my life. I was slowly but surely learning to accept the fact that everyone around me only wanted what was best for me, and that the negativity wasn't coming from anyone other than me. The most positive news I heard in those 38 days, is that I get to finally go home. Though I was extremely excited to come home, I didn't know what to expect, and I acted like life would return back to normal, when really, this was just the beginning of hell. Going home in the beginning made me remember all the old memories I collected in the past, how my life was so different just 38 days ago. But once again, all that changed. Now it was time to go back to the hospital to receive my chemotherapy. I would go to the hospital, and I would sit there painfully waiting, every second on the monitor to finish chemo, so I could finally go home. But the truth was that even when I went home, I had to deal with all those side effects. In all honesty, I would be so happy to be anywhere else but home, because home meant medicine, dealing with side effects. having negative thoughts, and the worst of all, throwing up from all those doubles from In and Out. Throwing up every day would be like getting tortured from the devil. I wasn't able to even accept the fact that I have cancer until at least the middle of my treatment. It truly was something that was a part of me. This was something I had to deal with 24/7. I wasn't able to escape it. I wasn't able to live that normal teenager life that I've grown up dreaming of. Feeling left out, not being able to attend school events because my immune system is so weak. Not being able to go into Starbucks and order a non-fat soy latte with extra whip. Not even being able to go in a room with the ones that I love. Not having the freedom to be a normal teenager. I would wake up every morning realizing that this is not a dream and that this is reality. Knowing that this will be my home for the next 2.5 years, still not being able to accept the fact that I have cancer. Now, you all may be wondering how it was like losing my gorgeous hair. It was like losing my best friend that always got my back. So if any of you guys knew me from before I had leukemia, you would know how long and beautiful my hair was. And if you knew me personally, you would know how much my hair and appearance meant to me. Going out for the first time with my shiny bald head, I felt like a hairless, lonely dog with so much anxiety and worrying about what others thought about me. I was so caught up in the idea of what others thought of me that soon enough, I didn't seem to care what they thought. Moving on from that, staying at home from school was a blast for only about 10 days. Then after that, I realized that I missed all my friends and the social aspect of being at school. Having so much time on my hands made me feel so lonely. Every day, I would think about how my friends are at school, and I would look at the time and think about what they are doing at school. Why me? Why now? These were the thoughts in my mind that occurred on a daily basis. I tried so hard to be positive and look at the brighter side of things, like everyone kept telling me to do, as if it was so easy. But the truth is, it's not. Just because I wasn't positive all the time and had difficulty looking at the better side of things doesn't mean that I wasn't lonely or depressed either. But it simply means that I'm human. Once again, I wanted to be positive, but I couldn't help but be negative from time to time. Imagine being sick for a whole week. It would feel like the end of the world for you guys. But for me personally, it felt like a lifetime. There was never a minute where I felt good, emotionally or physically. I remember how every day I would complain to my dad that I didn't feel well, and he would tell me to stay positive because that could change the way I felt, even when I felt horrible. My dad was my rock because he made me feel so strong and beautiful, even when I didn't believe it. Even though I was suffering so much, I felt that my own mother suffered 10 times more than I did, because not only did she watch me throw up every day, watch me constantly go to the ER in pain, watch me cry about how life is unfair, watch me sometimes say that I want to give up, she would still manage to fight through these horrible times and keep a smile on her face, and I love her for that. After a year of not being able to go to school, it was finally time for me to go back to the place where I last felt normal. It was nerve-wracking because I had all these thoughts rushing through my mind. I worried that kids would look at me differently, pity me, laugh at me, and so much more, making me even more insecure about myself than I already was. The first step that I took into school was the first step to going back to the normal routine. Seeing all my friends and everyone greet me made me feel so much better, as everyone at school was so supportive and loving towards me. But even though everyone was still loving and accepting, every day when I come to school, I still feel insecure and I feel that people are staring at me. After hearing a bit of my experience, does life seem as terrible as you thought it was 10 minutes ago? The point of my speech was to show you guys how positive life can be, no matter what the circumstances are. Before leukemia, even though my hair was so beautiful, thick, and long, I would still manage to find flaws in it. After experiencing hair loss, my hair meant so much to me, and I regretted all the times I hated my hair. You truly realize how much something is worth after losing it. I really want to encourage everybody here to appreciate life, because at any given moment, we don't know what could happen to us. It may seem sad and miserable to you guys that I have leukemia, but I don't see it as that way. Just remember this: there is always going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. No matter what you're going through, there will always be an end. It will probably be hard to push through whatever hardship you're going through, but just remember that there is always going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. Leukemia has brought so many positive aspects in my life. It brought my family and I closer. My own cousin that never spoke to me, he would text me every day to see if I'm okay. I got to meet the most inspiring people, and I learned my true potential. Cancer may have taken a toll in my life, but it made me stronger than I ever knew I could be. Regardless of what people think about me, I am beautiful and I am me. Thank you.